Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about how to flip real estate contracts. By the end of this video, you will fully understand how to identify, secure, and flip real estate contracts for a profit, and learning how to do that with taking little investment out of your pocket. So if you're looking for a way to break into the real estate investing world with minimal risk or investment, this strategy is for you. Have you ever wondered how to make money in real estate without ever even holding a title for a piece of property? Stay tuned as we unravel the secrets of flipping contracts, where you can profit from real estate deals just by transferring rights from sellers to buyers. Let's first dive into this by understanding what you need to do in order to set them up to be flipped. Next, I'll explain the key component of this strategy. And finally, I'll share with you the literal strategies that got me started in real estate flipping contracts. If you're ready, let's go. So let's start out just talking about real estate contracts so we understand what they are and how they work. Now, I assume that most people who are watching this understand what a real estate contract is, but just so we're on the same page, let's dive into that. Now, obviously, a real estate contract is an agreement between somebody who's looking to sell a property and somebody who's looking to buy a property that details out the property in question and the price that it's going to be sold at. The seller is looking to sell said property at this price, and the buyer's agreeing to buy that property at said price, and they are engaging in a contract that is written and signed, and it is the agreement that will detail out everything else and how it will flow from the point where it was negotiated and signed all the way to execution and sale of that property. Now, real estate contracts obviously cover a lot more than the property and the purchase price, but those might be the most important elements of it. But let's talk about some of those other things. Now, inside of that contract, it details out when the property will close. It'll detail out some of the disclosures that the seller has about the property. It will detail out home inspection, when that needs to be done and in what time frame. It details out the terms of the financing of the property, and it will also detail out fixtures and appliances that will be sold with the property. And many of those things are going to be negotiated throughout the process of getting that contract signed, but once it is finalized, you are then in a position to flip that contract to somebody else. However, if that is going to happen, you need to utilize this exact verbiage in the contract in order to be able to flip that contract to somebody else. And I do that every single time when I write up a real estate purchase and sales agreement, just so I'm in a position to transfer it if I want to. And I might even be transferring it out of my name into an LLC that I own, but putting this verbiage in there allows me to do that, because most people that engage in real estate investing, they don't hold properties in their own name. They hold properties in LLCs, limited liability companies. And just to touch on that really quick, why that's important, a limited liability company is going to limit your liability, just like it says, from your personal assets. So let's say that you have all these things that you own, a home, cars, furniture, other things, and that's all in your name, right? And if you go purchase a rental home in your name, and if somebody were to have an accident on the property that you own and they sue you, all of a sudden, because that is also under your name, you stand to be liable not just for the rental property, but for everything else in your name. Whereas an LLC, if they sue the LLC, it limits your personal assets from that. The only thing they can sell is the LLC. And a lot of times LLCs are going to have insurance and liability coverage in there that covers you just in case something bad were to happen. That's why we have insurance in the first place. But here is the exact verbiage that you need to put in the agreement. It needs to say the purchaser of this property is Aaron Peterson and or assigns, meaning that I can add somebody to it, or I can assign it to somebody else, or I can assign it to my LLC. So just by having that language in there, you're setting yourself up to be able to assign it whether to the LLC you own or to another buyer, being able to flip that contract, hopefully at a profit. Now, this all seems pretty straightforward, but let's talk about some important elements when it comes to flipping real estate contracts. Number one is price. This is the most important part of flipping real estate contracts. If you are not able to get a home or a property at a low price, below what they're asking, below the market value, it is going to be extremely difficult for you to then turn around and flip that or sell that contract to somebody else. I mean, think about it. Let's say that a property is listed for $300,000 and you're able to negotiate it down to $250,000, $260,000. Let's say you land on $260,000. Now, that's a decent margin to be able to turn around at that point and find somebody or talk to some other realtor friends to see if somebody's interested in that property, and then be able to assign that contract at maybe $270,000 or $280,000, still below market value, but you are making a good spread by selling it at, say, $280,000 when you have it under contract for $260,000, and you didn't have to do anything. You did not have to come out of pocket with any money, maybe a little bit just to get the contract or put some earnest money down, but to be able to make $20,000 within 30 to 60 days in real estate is an awesome strategy when it comes to real estate investing. Now, the second component that is equally important when it comes to flipping real estate contracts is being able to find a buyer that will buy that contract from you that you have with the seller and you have it under contract. And because it's equally important, let's talk about this for a few minutes. How do you find buyers that would be able to turn around and buy a contract from you that you have under contract? One way to do that is to build a buyer's list. Now, how do you build a buyer's list? Well, obviously, anybody that you know or come in contact with or people you meet in different real estate meetups, they could all be candidates to be on the buyer's list. Somebody who is buying homes, somebody who's interested in buying homes, somebody that knows people that are interested in buying homes, they could all be contacts to start to build your buyer's list. The bigger the buyer's list that you have, the greater opportunity you have to turn around and flip that contract to one of those buyers. So the second way that I build that buyer's list is through an online platform, Facebook Marketplace. Now, it's amazing. I mean, Facebook has kind of been one of those platforms that's for that older generation, but one of the most crucial, important things I've ever seen on Facebook is the Facebook groups. And those could be in the marketplaces or in the groups. Because if you listed on Marketplace, like I've got a property that I'm willing to let go for this price, you have people that are actively searching that. However, Facebook groups can be very defined to the area and the specific type of real estate you're looking to do. I have actually seen people on Facebook go on and say, listen, I've got this property that I'm holding the contract for. The entry fee is this price. To get it at this price, here's what you pay me. You pay the closing costs, everything. I see those maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, and I don't look on Facebook that often most days. There's days where I'm on there a lot, but there's days I'm not on there at all. But I see those happening all the time. And these are people doing exactly what I'm telling you about right now. They're flipping contracts. They're getting property under contract for a certain price, and they're going out there to these Facebook groups and they're listing it there, and they have multiple people that are going on and asking questions about it. So they've just increased their buyer pool from maybe people they know to millions of people they don't know, and they've got anywhere between 20 to 100 comments I've seen at different times asking about this property. There's one organization, and I met these guys probably almost 8 years ago. They're a group that is doing just this wholesaling, right? They're flipping contracts. They were in a small little building and they were making calls, but this organization is growing massive. They've actually got franchises all throughout the United States, and they've done just this. They have got a way to find properties, off-market properties that are maybe listed or not listed, but they can go out and have people go out and create a win-win situation and get these properties under contract at a very low price. And once they do that, they've built up a massive buyer list, and I get emails and texts, probably 2 or 3 or 4 a day from this group telling me about opportunities to buy this property or to be assigned this contract at a certain price. And people might say that this sounds like a difficult strategy to get started, but this is exactly how I got started in real estate, and I kind of lucked into it, but I'll kind of tell you my story. So when I first got started in real estate, I had been making some money where I'd worked. I'd started an organization, a company with some good friends of mine, and it really started to take off. So we had some money. We wanted to invest in real estate. I was looking in an area that I was familiar with, and there were some fourplexes for sale. And I thought, man, I'd love to buy a fourplex. And as I got into it, long story short, I ended up getting about 8 fourplexes under contract. And they were listing it at about $275. I know that seems super low, but this is about 20 years ago, about $275 per fourplex. And I had 2 of my good friends that had money, and they were investing in this project with me in buying these fourplexes. Now, when I went back to the seller and said, listen, I know you're listening to $275, and I had it under contract for $255,000. And my partners, they both had money, and they were going to join me on this venture. So 3 of us were going to buy these fourplexes. Now, when I went back to the seller, they said, listen, we know you have 8 under contract. Really, a spine of these things, 7 on one side, 7 on another. We'd love to sell 14. And if you will buy 14 of them, we will sell them to you for $243,000. And without even thinking, I said, yes, let's do it. Let's get it under contract. I got it under contract. Went back to my partners. They said, no, we only want 8. I thought, what am I going to do? Ironically, and this is where the part where luck comes in, a gentleman had heard I was looking up there and said, hey, listen, I heard you're buying some fourplexes. I want some. And I says, well, I might just have a solution for you. I've got some that I have under contract at a fairly low price that I can just transfer to you. How many do you want? He's like, well, I'd like 4 of them. He's like, that might not work. What if you bought 6? He's like, give me a day, I'll come back to you. He came back, said, yes, I'll take those 6. I turned around and I signed the contract of those at $243,000 to him at $255,000. He was ecstatic because he knew that they valued at $275, and if he would have got 6, he might have got $265, $260, but he was getting them for $255. 6 of those, where I'm making a $12,000 spread times 6 is $72,000. I was able to make that money just by assigning those contracts to somebody, and I was able to provide an awesome service to them. Once again, it was a mix of knowing a little bit about what to do, but also having some luck, which sometimes luck is when hard work and opportunity meets, and I fell into that situation. Now, this is how I got started in real estate. This is a great way to get started. If you're looking to get started in real estate by flipping writing real estate contracts, but ask some questions, make some comments, let's engage in a dialogue. I want to hear your feedback. And as always, just for stopping by, I have a free gift for you. It's aaron'sfreetraining.com. It's a short-term rental calculator where you put in the price, the expenses, the income, and it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not. And once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.